I got 5 hitters and 5 pitchers that you must add to help you bring home a W this week.
You are Locked On Fantasy Baseball, your daily fantasy baseball podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, fantasy baseball fanatics, and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Baseball podcast, brought to you by the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. As always, we're your number one source for fantasy baseball knowledge, and thank you for making us your first listen each and every day. I'm your host, Matthew Ahne. If you're watching on YouTube, please make sure to hit the bell below to subscribe to the channel and give you a notification every time we drop a new episode. And if you're listening on Apple or Spotify or wherever you're getting your audio source from, please leave us a 5-star rating and review. It really helps out the show, and we truly love bringing it to you each and every day. And if you want a little bit more than what we offer on this 30-minute podcast, check us out on the Insider Track. Links in the description below. You'll hear a little bit more about that after the first break. But let's get into it. I got a great show for you today. You got 5 bats that you must add this week that I feel are either going to be a great streaming candidate or could have some long-term effect. And I got some 5 pitchers that have some pretty decent matchups that are also been pitching pretty well of late. So without further ado, let's just jump right into it. And let's talk about Mr. Giancarlo Stanton playing outfield for those New York Yankees. Now, Giancarlo Stanton obviously is a shell of who he used to be coming back from the injury, and but honestly hasn't been as good as he's been in the past. Honestly, quite disappointing last year outside of the home run totals, because he batted 233. He had, 72 ribs and 97 runs, like 97 runs and 27 ribs. Pretty nice. But that batting average is fugly. He hasn't had a good one since 2021. So it's just upsetting in those regards. He was a much better player back in the day, but hey, it is what it is. But at least the power's still kicking, and that's the part that really matters. Look, I'm going to date myself a little bit here, but if you remember, Cruz, or you remember, like, Joey Gallo, right? Like, I mean, those are guys that you really just didn't care what their batting average was. You really just cared about the power numbers and just said, okay, cool, I can make up for it in other places, essentially, right? And that's what Giancarlo Stanton is at the end of the day. And the 27 home runs is still, relevant and things like that. And I think that he can totally, you know, be a guy that can at least provide that. I mean, look, last year he started off hot with a 246 batting average in the first half with 18 home runs, slowed down in the second half, but we don't have a first and a second half for him. Ultimately, he just has, pretty much June in the first half, and then the second half is, TBD. So, I mean, he's coming back this week, and I'm ready to see what he's willing to do. I mean, the team definitely needs that little boost, and he's going to start at DH, which is great. So let's see what happens with him. I think that I want to add him just in regards of getting some power influx. It's really hard to get a guy like this out on the waivers that has the upside of putting up consistent home run numbers along with runs on a team that can definitely help bring him in and get on base in front of him so that he can also build up them ribbies. So Giancarlo Stanton is somebody that really needs to be added at this point in time. And then, it's just going to be a short leash kind of type deal. If he's not really performing at all and he hasn't really gotten started with a slow start coming back off the IL, then you obviously drop him. You don't hold him. This is not really like a shallow league team play, like 8-man, 10-man. I'm not really considering maybe a stream in a 10-man, but it's really more of a 12, 14, 15, 16, etc. leagues, AL onlys. That Giancarlo Stanton needs to be rostered. 8-man's, unless you're really struggling. Giancarlo Stanton truly is just a good stream with some potential for the upside. Let's move on. So about Mr. Brady House getting the call of those Washington, what do you call it? Nationals. Sorry, it's a brain fart. Dude stands at 6'4", 208 pounds. Washington prospect, Washington Nationals prospect playing third and short. And quite honestly, he's an interesting one. I've liked Brady House throughout the years, but last year was a little bit on the disappointment side versus the years prior in the minors. So it's nice to see that he kind of had a bounce back in the minor leagues. So this year in the minors, 260 at bats, 42 runs, 15 doubles, a triple, 13 bombs, 41 ribs. And has a 304 batting average, a 353 OBP, a slug of 519, and an OPS of 873. These are all positive signs in terms of positive regression and making adjustments after, you know, not really performing when he got to just at all last year. Double A, he had 274 at bats and still managed to bat at 234. And then in triple A, he batted 250, which was obviously better through 224 at bats, but still was not like lights out like I've expected him to be. And you look at 2023 where the dude had batted 312 through 340 at bats between A plus, double A, and you just figured, okay, if the batting average is going to take a hit at least a little bit, maybe be like more like a 260 hitter. No, not drop all the way down to 230 and 250. But I like to see the bounce back. He's a guy that definitely strikes out 30% of the time, so may not have as much value in points leagues. But I think he's a guy that needs to be added in a lot of platforms and a lot of league depths just to see what the upside can bring. He's not a stolen base guy whatsoever. Best career season was 9 stolen bases and hasn't really repeated that kind of numbers again. I don't think he'll reach, double digit stolen bases, but the power definitely is real. Even look at what Fangraphs kind of rates him in terms of power. Game power is 35 out of 60, raw power 60 out of 65. It says he's fast, but he never really presented it. So I'm not going to go off that. He's saying he's a 50 out of 50 grade. But I have never seen it. So not that it's not possible, but not something I'm really going to count on. But the power is definitely there. So I want to see him do a little bit more. It's going to be interesting to see him finally get out there. He's a good prospect and on an upswing that I feel that has kind of figured out whatever he was doing wrong. So therefore, Brady House needs to be added. In addition, I just want to throw out the ownership percentage because I believe I didn't do that. He is 7% owned. So might want to get out there and add him before he gets his first licks. He went 0 for 2 on June 16th, which is as I'm recording it, but he still has another at bat left in the game. I think that, it's a nice little start too against Colorado for streaming options for the next couple days. So I definitely add him just based off of that as well. But let's see what Brady House can do and go from there. I think he's definitely worth an ad. Let's move on. Let's talk about Brooks Lee, of those Twins. Brooks Lee is a prospect that I do like. I just wish that he would have, what do you call it? Essentially been a little bit better, and also to just kind of capitalize on the opportunity, but he didn't. But hey, he's turning around a little bit. This last month has actually been pretty solid, and the season batting average isn't atrocious. So over the last month, 8 runs, 3 bombs, 15 ribs, a stolen base, batting 297. Over the last 2 weeks, he's hitting 372 with 3 bombs. And over the last week, batting 421 with 2 bombs. These are positive things. Brooks Lee is somebody that, high prospect pedigree, in my opinion, a guy that I liked coming up through the Twins system. And showed promise and had some obstacles in front of him that I felt like, okay, might be able to, surpass now. But hey, it is what it is. But you look at what he's done in his minor league career, going all the way back to like 2023, because it was really the last time he was truly in the minors for an extended season. 501 at bats. He had 83 runs, 39 doubles, 3 triples, 16 bombs, 84 ribs, 7 stolen bases, batted 275. He had an OPS of 347, a slug of 461, and an OBP of 347, OPS of 808. And then, you just look at like where he's going to be the most valuable. He may not be a guy that truly packs a giant punch in terms of the power, but in terms of like points league specifically, the 39 doubles, dude hits doubles like an animal. He's not really having like insane strikeout numbers, 56 walks to 91 strikeouts in the minors. It's pretty nice, even though what we're seeing in the bigs is a little bit different. So 10 walks to 40 strikeouts, obviously that's not as great, but I think there's room for improvement. I think there's some upside to this bat, and that's why I'm saying to add him, a guy that's bat, in the almost 400 in a month. I'm sorry, almost 300 in a month, and 400 over the last week is definitely worth an ad, in my opinion. And to see where this kind of journey takes us, does he finally figure it out? Does the upside finally come to fruition? These are things I'm definitely looking at to see in Brooks Lee, because I did believe in the prospect pedigree. And let's just see what it goes. The stat line isn't truly the whole story that of what Brooks Lee is. So he's an upside play, not a shallow league play. I wouldn't even really Um, count on him for like, you know, roto or head to head in a lot of ways, unless you're playing like the extended category, counting stats like doubles and triples and things like that. He's really more of I think a points league stash and a league and a deeper league for that. But Brooks Lee definitely is somebody that needs to be added in those kind of leagues, and then maybe watch list after the fact. Coming up next, I got two more bats and then rest of arms coming up after the break. I'll give you a little preview. Sal Frelick and Dane Myers, who did get hurt today. So we'll get into that today coming up next. Get the supplies you need from the site that's made for skilled traders, Supply House. Whether you're into plumbing, HVAC, or electrical work, Supply House is a reliable way to order products online. Their easy to use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get the job done right. Plus, with a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from 400 plus top brands, you'll find exactly what you need delivered fast from coast to coast. Need help with an order? Supply House offers expert support and industry leading service, so you'll always talk to a real person. And for trade pros looking for an extra edge, their Trade Master program offers exclusive perks like dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every order. Thousands of skilled professionals are already taking advantage, and now is your turn. Join the Trade Master program today at supplyhouse.com/TM and start ordering plumbing, HVAC, electrical supplies with just a few clicks. Plus, use the promo code SH5 for 5% off your first order at supplyhouse.com. Like I mentioned at the top of those if you want a little bit more than what we offer in this 30-minute podcast, become a member of the Insider Track and and get more from Dom and I, right? Like, you want prospect notifications because there's been a lot this year already, and it's kind of like a crazy year already with prospects. You're gonna want to get in on there. You want to ask us questions and get a response within the first 24 hours. You're gonna want to be in there. You want to get some key stats to highlight and kind of hone in on from every episode. You're gonna want to get in on that. And lastly, you want a little priority on who to prioritize off this waiver wire list. Join sub join the Insider Track. Links in the description below, and you get a free 2 weeks. So why wouldn't you join? But let's get back into it. Let's talk about the show here. And so about Sal Frelick, playing for those Brewers. So he's been good. I will say this. You know, as an outfielder, as a guy that, you know, may have not had the best luck with certain players that we drafted, I want to add Frelick for a few reasons. So this last week was pretty good. 5 runs, no home runs, but 5 ribs, 2 stolen bases, and batting 308. One of my rules is essentially batting average off the waiver wire is pretty key, and batting 308 over a week is pretty incredible. Over the last 2 weeks, still batting a 304, so the batting average is consistent. Counting stats not really there, but at least hit a home run the previous week and a stolen base, along with 2 runs and a rib. So I'm not really mad at the production. It's just kind of stagnant, but it is what it is. And then even over the last month, 13 runs, 2 bombs, 16 ribs, 6 stolen bases, batting 327. He's batting 294 on the season. So he's like a deeper league, a deep league everyday starter. Those 14, 15 man leagues, you kind of have no choice, but like he's definitely somebody you want to add in those regards. In the shallower leagues, 12, 10, 8, he might be a streamer. Hey, I got to like one day this week, right? Like it was a lot of off days. And if he was playing, I'd add him just to stream him, stay ahead, and get the edge on the week, essentially for that extra counting stat, for hitting advantage. That if a guy doesn't pay attention going into the next week's matchup, what's Monday look like for the massive off day look at, perfect guy to add for those things, and go from there. I mean, Frelick is somebody that is coming out there and producing. Definitely could see some bases. Already has 18 on 14 on the season. Good batting average production, and on a team that honestly, with Christian Yelich just crushing the ball this year the way he is, Frelick is a guy that's going to benefit from it. So add Sal Frelick now. Again, 30% owned. Please add him. Let's move on. Let's talk about Dane Myers of the Miami Marlins. So I was watching the game against the Phillies, and he did get nailed by Abel in the elbow. So they're still waiting on an update. So take this with some I'll preface it like this essentially. If he's going to hit the waiver, going to hit the IL, then obviously move on. But Um, if not, then I'm going to say we need to talk about him and add him. That's why I'm going to still continue with this since where I am right now. Um, I don't have too much information on him. So is Dane over the last week has hit 3 runs, a bomb, 3 ribs, a stolen base, batting 455. Now, not as good of a total month, but hasn't really played. Only had about 46 at bats over 2 weeks. This is what he's done: 4 runs, a bomb, 4 ribs, a stolen base, batting 326, batting 366 over the last 2 weeks. Been solid in those regards. You know, hasn't really played a lot this season, but hey, if he's going to be hot, produce batting average category, has some potential in the runs and home run category, I'm all about it. He has an average exit velocity sitting at 92.5 miles an hour. His expected slug is a 47. Expected batting average is actually a 313, which is solid as hell. So it supports the performance that's going on right now. So Woba sitting at 366. Launch angle's looking beautiful. Yeah, he's whiffing a little bit and striking out, not walking enough. But I think those are all things that we're going to see. But at least, hey, he's a guy that I need to add just based off of what he's doing out on the field. And we'll ride it. He's not going to have any long term value for me. I don't really care for the guy as a total player. He plays for the Miami Marlins. Like, what are you getting out of that team as a whole? But at least Dane Myers is producing now. And when he cools off, and you just drop him like he's hot, and nobody don't even bat an eye about it. But Dane Myers needs to be added and just ride that wave until the wheels fall off. Let's switch over. Let's switch into pitching. Let's talk about Grant Holmes, Atlanta Braves, starting pitcher. And Grant Holmes is somebody that we've mentioned a lot. A guy that's been a streamer, a guy that's been honestly productive. He's 57% owned, and he's going up against. Well, he went yesterday against the Mets. I'm gonna try and figure out his next matchup in a minute, but you know, handled the Colorado really nicely. 6 innings, 15 Ks, 284 ERA with a .63 WHIP and a one. I mean, and got a quality start. Now he's very volatile depending on the matchup. You know, I'm not really willing to roll him out there, but that last start was definitely enticing to see if he's got something similar in the tank for him, essentially. So I'm kind of going to add him on a speculative track to see where this goes. But honestly, he's definitely got me. What's the word I'm looking for? At least excited. And the next matchup should be against the Marlins, which division game. Marlins are not a strong bat. It's really just Dane Myers is the only guy that's really crushing the ball right now. And again, he might even be out by the time this podcast is even over and airs. So Grant Holmes is definitely going to have at least one good start coming up against the week, 57% owned, a guy that needs to be added, at least for this matchup, and then to see where else we can possibly start him, because Grant Holmes looks like he's going to, be great in those cupcake matchups. So, without further ado, coming up next, we got more pitchers, right? Shane Smith, Matthew Liberatore, and more coming up after this. Okay. If you're running a business, you know that every missed call is money left on the table. It truly is, unfortunately. Think about the last time you had a service emergency, like a burst pipe. If the first plumber didn't answer, did you wait? No, you called the next one, right? That's why you have a reliable business line is so important, right? That's why you need Open Phone. Open Phone is the number one business phone system that helps you streamline and scale customer communication, all from an app on your phone or computer. Did you did you juggle 2 phones or just keep business and personal calls separate? Open Phone solves it instantly. Your whole team can share one number and respond to customers like shared inboxes, no more, who's handling this, and AI agent handles after-hour calls, answers common questions, and captures leads so you never miss a customer again. OpenPhone is offering Locked On fantasy baseball listeners 20% off their first 6 months at openphone.com/locked on MLB. That's openphone, openphone.com/locked on MLB. And if you have an existing number with another service, OpenPhone will port them over at no extra charge. OpenPhone, no missed calls, no missed customers. Okay, let's get back into it. let's finish this up. Let's talk about some pitchers here. Let's talk about Shane Smith. Now, Shane Smith is an interesting one for me, at least. So he's playing for them Chicago White Sox, having a pretty decent, you know, season so far, right? Like, you know, here we go. Sorry, everything's kind of jumping around on me. So 68 innings pitched, 64 strikeouts. You know, I'm liking that. A 1.174 7 whip, 2.73 ERA. Like these are all positive signs for him. And with Shane Smith here, he's definitely worth an add. He's been really good this year as a whole. And even over the last couple starts, it's been pretty solid, right? Houston handed well, 6 innings, win, 4 Ks, a 1.5 ERA. Whip was a little high at a 1.5, but quality start. Handled Detroit, which is one of the best teams in baseball. 5.1 innings pitched, a win, 6 Ks, no earned runs, 0.95 whip. Handled them, got shelled by the Mets, but whatever. Got shelled by Seattle, whatever. But then handled the Cubs. Like he's really handling himself really well. You know, over the last 2 weeks, a 0.79 ERA. Like he's definitely interesting. Like for sure. Like he's somebody that I definitely want on my team. Being that he's 37% owned, he's getting great movement on his fastball, great movement on his off-speed pitches. Fastball velocity sitting at 95.1 miles an hour. He is giving up hard contact though, with an average exit velocity of 90 miles an hour. But he's creating whiffs 28% of the time, striking out guys 22% of the time. Obviously, we'd love to see the walk numbers be better, but really suppressing barreling only 5.9% of the time, and really producing the on the ground balls aspect 44.7% of the time, which can make up for the hard contact because the more ground balls you produce, the less pop flies, which means less chances of guys going over line drives. I'm sorry, going over the fence, which is really good. He has a four-seam fastball. He has a changeup, a slider, curveball, sinker. Leans on the fastball a lot. Throws it 43% of the time, and that has a batting average of 206. And even the expected batting average of 233 is pretty nice. Changeup is awesome. He leans on that 21% of the time. That has a batting average of 123. He's really crushing it with that. His slider leans on that about 17.3% of the time. That has a batting average of 250 with an expected batting average of 238. And then his curveball, I mean, his curveball is thrown 11% of the time. That has a batting average of 235. And he's putting guys away with that literally 24% of the time. And on the off chances that he throws a sweeper, which is kind of interesting, he barely throws it. He puts them away every time. I mean, granted, it's only 3 for 3, but still puts them away with that pitch because I guess nobody's really seen it. So he's really got a deadly pitch mix, in my opinion, and somebody that, hey, if Shane Smith can keep this going, he could be an interesting start for really good cupcake matchups, and possibly if he can keep going at this rate, almost starting any kind of occasion until he proves otherwise. I mean, the dude is rocking it out right now. To have a sub 3 ERA on a season is pretty hard to do just in general. And at this point, you just got to ride this wave until things kind of fall off, or until he just proves it to us that he's here to stay. So Shane Smith playing for the Chicago White Sox, literally 37% owned, needs to be owned everywhere. All right, let's move on. Let's talk about Matthew Liberatore. Liberatore is somebody that I'm not really like the biggest fan, but in a matchup or two, I'm willing to roll him out there. So this is more for same day ads. Obviously, we didn't record yesterday because we recorded the night before, and it's for Father's Day. Happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there. But in same day ad league, yes, he's going to be relevant for you. If you're not, unfortunately, just move on. He's going to start today, but it's against the White Sox, hence why we're going to talk about it, right? In those daily moves, White Sox have been rough, and don't think that Livatore is going to have a problem getting around them. It's not like anybody's really hitting anything. Robert is hurt right now, so there's no real threat in the lineup. So with that, Liberatore being 34% owned, I think needs to be added if you have same day ads. But that's really about it. I mean, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on him because I don't really believe in the talent all that much. So yeah, let's move on. So Brian Bayo of the Boston Red Sox, which I didn't even talk about this. Devers getting shipped off. That was interesting. Bayo coming out here with probably not a shot in hell to win the game, but hey, it is what it is. Pitched on Sunday. Looks like he'll be pitching again. I'll get that in a second. But pitched really well against the Yankees. Went 7 innings deep. Got the win. 8 Ks, no earned runs, a .86 WHIP, and a quality start as well. Handled Tampa Bay pretty decently. Handled the Angels pretty decently. And Milwaukee, Baltimore. He's having some good outings. And let's figure out who he's going up against. That's the key part, right? What's the matchup look like in the future? So if this wants to cooperate here. So coming up for Bayo, it looks like it's most likely going to be this is funny, a little revenge for Devers, the Giants towards the end of the week. So it's definitely going to be fun series just to watch, to see if Devers kind of comes out here and tries to crush the living heck out of the Boston Red Sox, or if Bayo can kind of shut him down. It's going to be interesting. So I definitely want to see if I can get him. I'm still not scared of that team, even with Devers now in that lineup. But it looks like they're trying to win something for once. So Devers being on that team definitely, takes them from being a decent matchup to almost cupcake matchup to now at least having some volatility to it. But end of the week, probably like Sunday, if I had to take a guess, being that he pitched, yesterday. I look at it like this: Bayo in a pinch, whether I just need strikeouts, I'm gonna roll him out there no matter what. He's gonna be a good, start and dump kind of player. Let's move on though. Let's talk about Jeffrey Springs. Springs has been pretty solid. Handled Kansas City pretty well. 6 innings, 2 strikeouts, a 3 ERA, 117 WHIP, and a quality start. They won the game but couldn't win it while he was on the field. The Angels really nice. Went 6 innings, 8 strikeouts, a 4.5 ERA, .83 WHIP. Even handled Minnesota. Went six and a half, 7 Ks, 4.05 ERA with a 1.05 WHIP. Toronto shelled him out a little bit, but he's been good, like really good. I'm not mad at the 4 ERA sometimes, especially with the high strikeout numbers. Obviously, against Kansas City, no strikeouts, but at least a 3 ERA. I think the next matchup should be decent. I'm trying to pull that up as well. Where, hey, if it's a good one, I'm going to probably roll him out there no matter what, because he's just been serviceable. So the Athletics are going up against this weekend, being that he pitched yesterday. I would assume he's going up against the Guardians towards the end of the week. A little bit on the tougher side of the matchup. I would say he's probably pitching either Saturday or Sunday. But yes, but in a pinch, I'll definitely roll him out there and see if he can get out there and kind of do some damage for us. Looks like actually Thursday on the 20th. So, no, I apologize. On Friday. So with Jeffrey Springs out there, I think that if you're in a pinch, the weekend's looking rough, you had a rough week, and hey, I need strikeouts, or I just need some kind of shining bright thing where possible some upside. Or hey, look, my ERA is completely shot, and it's no chance of really doing any more damage to it. But maybe I can get a quality start. Maybe can have a good outing. Maybe get me some strikeouts. Yeah, I'll roll them out there in a pinch. The matchup isn't the most wonderful, but at least it gives you some hope and a prayer that he can do something for your team. If not, I'm not adding him, and kind of just like whatever, I'll move on and try and find somebody else if I need to protect my my ERA and WHIP. It's 32% owned. Honestly, probably just see what you can do at the end of the week. Like I said, that being said, guys, please like, subscribe, comment, rate, review, do everything you can to share this show, because Dom and I love bringing it to you each and every day. So thank you to my everydayers. And when you're done, check out our boy Sully over at Locked On MLB. He puts on a great real coverage show every single day. Peace out, guys.